opening statement, just kind of about the guys being back and just kind of being back to some sense of normalcy here?
Yeah. So today we'll start the voluntary workouts. We have 4 guys that were here last week, were tested, all of them, and then the staff was tested, all negative tests, and so those 4 guys will start voluntary workouts today. That will include the opportunity to be in the gym, be in the weight room, and then also in the training room. We'll go in waves. We'll have 5 guys that will be tested this week that will either start at the end of the week or start next week with the workouts, and then 3 guys after that. So we'll have over the next 3 weeks, our goal is by the start of Summer B, which is that last week of June, first week of July, that we'll have the entire team here, the entire team tested, the entire team able to start doing their voluntary workouts. We've had to kind of set it up where it's about 45 minutes in each segment and a 15-minute disinfecting afterwards before the next group comes in. We've done a lot of work in terms of the procedure and the process of them coming in. Obviously, they go through the temperature check and all that stuff, and no more than 4 guys at a time in either the weight room or in the gym. The gym can handle a little more, but since they're going right to the weight room, we decided to keep it at 4 right now. So the guys have done a good job up to this point of taking care of themselves and following the proper protocol. A lot of the guys have stayed here in Tampa throughout the entire duration of this. And obviously, really proud of the work they did in the classroom to end the school year off as well. And you know, our guys do a good job of figuring out ways to stay in shape, and it's going to be a little different, but I think not only me as the head coach, but my staff and our guys are excited to get back to work in as much as we can do right now.
Coach, how, if at all, was Alexis Yetna's rehab affected by everything being shut down?
You know, just due to some of the circumstances, we were able to still continue his rehab under really strict protocol. And that was not only with the rehab, but the strength training and different things like that, a lot of one-on-one stuff. But he's progressing very well right now. Again, we're talking not even mid-June, so we're not gonna push it with anything, but he's able to get some light shooting in right now and do some running and so forth. It's just a matter of now getting his body and the complete strength back in that leg. But he looks, like I said, he looks like $1 million. He's put on good, solid weight, you know, in his upper body. He's in good spirits, as much as you can be with the grueling rehab and recovery that he's gone through.
You've already picked up a commitment for your 2021 class, and today is a big day for the 2022 class in recruiting. How has the dead period affected recruiting from your point of view?
Well, you know, I think first and foremost, you're not able to get out there and see the players play in the events that were scheduled in the spring, and then obviously the events that are scheduled for this summer. So what it did, it put a great emphasis on the fact of where you were at with the current recruits that you were looking at. And we were in a good spot. You know, our staff's done a really good job. And we kind of pinpointed, you know, this class, the class of 2021, being a class that we felt we could make an impact in the state of Florida. We knew where we were at as a program. The people in the state of Florida knew where we were at as a program when we took over, and we kept fighting in that recruitment. But we looked at this class, and our guys have done a really good job in that. And then obviously today is the day that we can start calling rising juniors, the class of 2022. And we've seen a good portion of our top 15, 20 recruits, we've seen them play live. The biggest change is we've done a lot of work, you know, similar to what football does. I always say basketball is always behind football. Football does a great job of utilizing film in terms of their recruitment. And it's great to see guys live and so forth. But but you can really break down game film and so forth through their high school games, through their AAU events, and we've done a good job of that.
Over the summer, you guys had an extra scholarship, then someone took it up, then you had one, then someone took it up. How key was it to stay flexible, kind of knowing guys might be moving in and out of the program to stay in it with transfers?
You never stop recruiting, even when you don't have one, you stay in contact and you let guys know how important they are and that you really think they can make an impact, and if an opportunity comes, then it comes. And obviously we were able to do that, and that's going to be a big part of the recruiting down the road with some of the legislature that's going to be going through, is to be able to stay nimble in your recruitment. And the whole thing, our whole recruitment philosophy is based on building really good relationships. And so sometimes that's a tough call when you have to call a kid up and say, someone's committed and we no longer have a scholarship available. But if you've done your homework and built that relationship, if opportunities come, then sometimes you can circle back.
Coach, players want to play at any time. Just tell them where to go. How are you dealing with parental concerns with COVID-19?
We've done I think a really good job of communication has been the big key. We've had multiple Zoom meetings with the parents, a lot of contact between parents, either FaceTime calls, one-on-one calls, different things like that. We've gone beyond and above in terms of some of the stuff to make sure our parents know that we're going to do everything we can to keep our guys safe. The biggest thing with that is just to let them know that, our procedures that are in place, I think our athletic department as a whole, but the university as a whole, has done a really good job of setting the guidelines, and it's just up to us to follow them, I've had, parents ask, I have a daughter that's going to be a freshman in college, and she's going, and they're going to have classes, and I'm learning more as that goes on. And so a lot of stuff I learn as a parent, then I share with our parents as well. And the issue on in classes, is there's still going to be remote learning, different things like that. The biggest thing is just to stay in constant communication and answer any questions, and then anything I don't know, I find out and I get back to them, because there's a lot of stuff I still don't know.
Coach, I asked you this recently. David has a decision to make. How is this dormant period affecting his decision?
Well, I think one thing is the NCAA obviously pushed back the date to an unknown date right now, because they're trying to figure out when the draft is going to be, and if they're going to have a combine and different things like that. But David was aggressive, as we were aggressive in terms of getting him a lot of information with some various meetings with I think it was 5 to 7 GMs, assistant GMs, and different things like that, just collecting data and information, asking a lot of questions. I think he's done a really good job of analyzing it, done a really good job of listening and kind of putting some things into practice as well as what he's learned. So I think he'll make a decision relatively soon right now, with everything that's going on. I think, he's kind of taken a step back in the decision process, but at the same time, he's done a really, really good job of educating himself during this time.
Coach, the plug got pulled 3 days before Selection Sunday. How tough was it on you and your players not to be able to play in March?
Well, hey, obviously with the way it went down for us, it's, 40 minutes before we play. And I always say our guys were, ready to go, and it was a tough deal to have to tell them that. I think at that time, no one knew what it was going to all mean, because it was, and I was one of them. Should they cancel the NCAA tournament? Should they wait a couple weeks? Well, obviously it was the right decision. So I think the one thing you got to do, you got to take a step back and for us as a program, see the areas that we improved in, areas we need to dramatically improve in, and then take this time to put yourself in position to develop a really good game plan to attack that as we move forward to this year. Because, again, you have to be able to plan it but you have to be able to stay flexible, because there is no exact formula for what's the next month is gonna look like, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, and different things like that. And one benefit for us is we have a good portion of our team coming back.
Coach, last time we saw you was at KJ Sales Unity Walk. Your staff was there, Jose's staff was there. Just your thoughts on being a part of such a positive event.
Well, yeah, and you know, I think everybody, myself included, spent time, you know, initially with the anger and the disgust of the things that were going on with the racial injustices and the racist acts and different things like that, violent acts and that. And then you go into a phase of, I felt I had to learn more. I had to really educate myself. I had to listen. I had to ask questions. I had multiple Zoom meetings with our players regarding these issues surrounding racism and so forth within our country. Had a great meeting with our parents, our players' parents. I thought that was really good. And then, you know, one of the things that, you know, I always, as I learned and did more research and listened, from sermons to lectures to reading and different things like that, a lot of things have come up, you know. And one of the things that was really poignant with KJ and his organization of that, and our guys being involved in that, is it's that generation that's going to make the difference. That generation is much more comfortable in diverse situations. They're willing to address hard topics. They're motivated. They have greater compassion, I think, for people of differences. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And one thing they have, they're really smart. And they figured out where our generation has screwed it up. And that generation has figured it out that it's not done. It's the racism is within systems, and you have to address those. And I was really proud to be a part of the USF community with KJ taking the lead and our guys being involved in that. You know, I always say, God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the call. And we all been called now. And watching KJ lead that and our guys being involved in that was inspirational to anybody that was around it. And it's still, our job is to bear the burden of our brothers and sisters. And you gotta learn, you gotta educate, you gotta eliminate. And if you can do those things and you can take an active role in it, you can't. One thing I learned, there's a big difference between not being racist and being anti-racist. There's a huge difference. And I never really thought of it in those terms before. But I think people are starting to grab hold of that, and we got a long way to go. But as I said, I want to answer that call. I know I'm not qualified. One other thing I heard, and we had a big thing with the National Association of Basketball Coaches. One thing I heard that really resonated with me is, I understand that I may never fully understand, but I'm going to stand by what's right and the way things are supposed to be, and that's my job.
Coach, I asked Coach Arians the same question. I know you're not 67, but what are you doing to stay safe?
You know, I was locked down. You know, I was at home, and I said, you know, there's worse places to be quarantined than Tampa, Florida. You know what I mean? You can get outside. You can, you know, and you have to struggle to be positive during this time and find things. And what an unbelievable opportunity for me to spend all that time with my family. You know, with a daughter leaving to college and another one that's going to be a sophomore in high school. This job creates sometimes a disconnect in that, and being able to reconnect. Lunches together. I didn't even know you could do that. You know what I mean? And obviously a lot of dinners and different things like that. But, you know, I wear a mask whenever I'm inside, anywhere. The social distancing. And I think one of the challenges right now is America needs a little greater endurance right now. you know, we have to stay on this, and it's something that is a message that needs to be clearly sent, because I go out and I see, you know, and again, you have freedom and all that stuff, but you're doing it for other people, to keep other people safe. So I think it's important to keep doing what we're supposed to be doing, and if we can do that, then we can keep fighting this thing.
Have you lost weight or gained weight?
I'm in better shape, I know that. I've been working out, which has been good. Family's been working out, so it's been good. I've been taking care of myself, which is good. Kind of, you don't get it very often. Almost a rejuvenation period when it comes to that. I've watched a ton of film. I saw another coach say I'm about zoomed out right now, though. But it's been good. It's been a different way to connect. It's been an opportunity to learn some different methods in terms of connecting with people, with your players, with families, with recruits, with boosters. And I think there's been some things that we've learned. You never want to say you go through it and there's positives, but there's been some changes that needed to be made, and I think they're hopefully changes for the better.
Coach, if fans are not allowed inside to watch your games, how can that affect your sport in general?
Well, I think it could obviously have a big impact, you know, but I do think it's doable. And, you know, you can say from the inherent reason to play is not because of fans in the stands or anything like that. That's an added value to it. It's about playing the game and competing and all those different things. But it is a part of the overall environment and atmosphere that makes college basketball so much fun and so enjoyable. But if we have to cross that bridge, I think it's definitely doable. I really do. And, you know, the ability to watch it on TV and so forth, kind of like what the NBA is doing right now, I think is a viable option. And I think right now all options are on the table. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the fall sports, obviously with football. But you know, one thing from a financial standpoint, it's important that the football season goes, but it's really important that the NCAA tournament occurs. Because you're going to see a dramatic change in college athletics if they go a second year without an NCAA tournament. You're already seeing schools doing different things with furloughs and reductions and taking, you know, cutting sports. So I think it's imperative that we put ourselves in a position to accomplish those two goals at the same time, with the safety of not only our student athletes, but our fans, our great fans, our supporters, and all that has to be at the front of the mind as well.
Coach, you got places like Cincinnati and Temple that are right in the middle of this. Is scheduling going to be a problem, do you think?
Well, again, it's something that's going to be, you know, talked about down the road in terms of that. You know, in terms of overall conference scheduling, you know, we do go to some places that would be considered hot spots and different things like that. And again, you know, this thing has changed so dramatically. Just think where you guys were at 30 days ago compared to now. And we're going to see where we're at, you know, that's January, February, March is when those games occur. So, you know, there may be some alterations with it. That remains to be seen.
Is there anything else for Coach?
All good?